All right, get ready for this deep dive
Oh, yeah.
because we're going to a place that's pretty chilling.
Right.
We're going to the Begunkodar railway station in India.
Mm.
And it's a place
Sounds familiar.
that's known for unsettling stories.
I know some unsettling stories.
But this one's got more to it. We're talking romance,
Oh, wow.
betrayal, and
this is a twisty one.
that's going to leave you staring wide-eyed at the screen.
Okay.
So to help me unpack the layers of this one,
All right.
we've got an expert here with us today.
Happy to be here.
Now,
Yes.
our source material is a YouTube video,
Uh-huh.
and I gotta say, they really went all out with the dramatic narrations,
Yeah.
the sound effects, the
Yeah.
whole 9 yards.
It's like they took the classic campfire story
A campfire story.
and cranked it up to 11.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, setting the scene, we're at this Begunkodar railway station,
Mm-hmm.
and the video, the way they present it, is this really sinister, almost like cursed place, right?
Right. Right.
And that's where we meet Anish.
Okay.
Now, Anish is this young guy.
Uh-huh.
He's desperate for work,
Right.
and he ends up getting a job at this station,
Mhm.
despite knowing all the stories.
Oh, so he's taking a risk.
He's taking a risk.
Yeah.
He needs the money,
Right, I see.
but he's also aware of the dangers. And to make things even creepier,
Oh, no.
his superior
Yeah.
warns him specifically about the night shift.
Oh.
Like, hey, be careful out there.
Yeah, that's never good.
But then things get really interesting
Okay.
because this incredibly beautiful woman
Oh, wow.
shows up,
Okay.
and she's seeking refuge.
Yeah.
She tells the story of forbidden love,
Mm-hmm.
a daring escape,
Classic. Damsel in distress.
damsel in distress.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
you know, she's really playing on Anish's sympathy.
Mm-hmm.
But then things start to get really spooky in the station cabin.
Okay.
First, there's this disembodied voice
Bro.
calling Anish's name.
And
It's just so unsettling.
Right. Chilling. And then eerie music
Oh.
starts playing from the phone, which is malfunctioning, by the way.
Right.
Like, technology's gone haywire.
Spooky tech.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then to top it all off, there's this
Right.
relentless knocking
Oh, no.
coming from seemingly nowhere.
It's like the story is just piling on the suspense.
They're just building this dread with each detail. And
Mhm.
just when you think it can't get any creepier,
Oh.
the video drops this bomb.
What?
The woman who we thought was helpless suddenly attacks someone with an axe.
Oh, my God.
And it's brutal.
Whoa.
It's so unexpected.
That took a turn.
And then
Yeah.
the video reveals who the victim is.
Oh, no.
And it's just this horrifying twist
All right. I'm with
that leaves you with so many questions.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Like, who was this woman really?
Right.
And why Anish?
Why him?
Why him?
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So let's take a moment to think about what we've seen so far.
Mm-hmm.
It's not your typical ghost story, is it?
No, it's not.
There's something more going on here.
There's something deeper.
And to understand that, I think we need to dig into some of the folklore
Right.
surrounding the Begunkodar railway station
Yeah.
and these stories that have haunted it for years.
Sounds good to me.
So stay with us.
All right.
Okay, so we left off with that cliffhanger.
Oh, yeah.
The woman, the axe, Anish's fate.
Right.
But you mentioned folklore surrounding the station.
Right. Well, in India, there's a lot of folklore about vengeful spirits,
Mhm.
especially these female spirits called churail.
Fukrail.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're often associated with tragic deaths,
Uh-huh.
betrayal, a thirst for revenge.
Oh, wow.
So could this woman be a churail?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
The video didn't say that outright,
Right.
but it did mention the station's history of spooky occurrences.
Mhm.
It's almost like the place itself is
Yeah.
cursed, right?
Well, that's a common thing.
Okay.
A lot of haunted location lore
Right.
has this idea that a place can hold on to negative energy.
I see.
Like it becomes a magnet for tragedy.
Right, that makes sense.
But the churail adds a specific cultural layer.
Okay.
It's not just any ghost.
Right.
It's a spirit with very specific grievances.
Yeah, okay.
And those grievances are rooted in Indian folklore.
So it's giving the story more depth.
Exactly.
Wow, so it's not just a ghost story then. It's
Yeah.
like a...
It's more,
Oh,
like
sure.
a cautionary tale.
Right, like be careful who you
Mhm.
trust.
Exactly.
Especially in these isolated places.
Right.
So back to Anish.
Yeah.
The video shows him waking up, clearly the victim of the woman's attack. It's just brutal.
That's rough.
It leaves us with so many questions.
It does. Like, why him?
Well, the video focuses on the shock. But I think what's interesting is how it actually mirrors the trail myths.
Okay.
They often involve luring men to their deaths, not with brute force, but through deception and manipulation.
That's a good point.
So the acts, while brutal, is almost secondary.
It's more about...
It's the betrayal of trust that's really scary.
Right. That's what gets you.
Exactly.
Like, he was trying to help, and she just played him.
Yeah.
Could he have avoided this?
Well, it's easy to judge in hindsight, but he was young.
Yeah.
Desperate. Yeah.
Maybe a bit naive.
Right.
And the woman, she used that classic damsel in distress trope to disarm him.
It's like a classic trick.
It is.
And it worked.
Unfortunately.
It's a tough lesson.
It is.
But maybe an important one.
Right.
Right.
Like, be careful who you trust.
Especially in these situations.
Exactly.
But then again, he was all alone at that station.
He was isolated.
Maybe he was just craving.
Yeah, maybe he was just looking for some connection.
Connection.
And this woman, even with her fake story, offered that.
Right, right.
So it's not just about the supernatural danger.
Okay.
It's about that human need to connect.
Even if it's risky.
Even if it's risky, yeah.
Wow. So there's like...
a lot going on.
So many layers to this.
Right.
It's not just...
It's not black and white.
Ghost story.
No.
Right.
It's about human nature.
It's about us.
Yeah.
And the choices we make.
Exactly.
And the video ends with this question.
Okay.
Would you spend a night at Begunkodar knowing Anish's fate?
That's a good question.
It makes you think, right?
It does.
Like, would I be that trusting?
Right.
Would I ignore the warnings?
That's the thing about folklore.
Mm-hmm.
It's passed down for a reason.
Right.
It's like a warning.
Like a guide.
A guide, yeah.
But do we listen?
Well, that's up to each of us.
That's a good point.
Right.
But the video leaves some things unanswered, too.
Oh, like what?
Like what happened to the woman?
Right.
She just vanished?
Did anyone believe in Isha?
Right.
We don't know.
It's like the story ends,
yeah,
but the mystery remains.
And that's what makes it effective.
Right.
It makes you think.
It stays with you.
It stays with you, yeah.
It's like the stories.
Like it's still happening.
It's unfolding.
In my mind.
In my mind.
Exactly.
It's good horror.
It's the best kind.
Like that unease that just lingers.
That unsettling feeling.
Yeah, it makes you question things.
It makes you think about the world around you.
Yeah, right, like what's really out there.
Exactly.
So it's not just about the scares.
No.
It's about making us more aware.
It's about being more discerning.
Being more careful.
Yeah, a little more wary of the shadows.
Right, the things we don't see.
Exactly.
So we've talked about the events, the cultural context, all the psychology of it.
Yeah.
But we should talk about the video itself.
Oh, yeah.
Like how it's told.
Soul storytelling.
Yeah, they did a really good job with the narration, the sound effects.
The pacing.
The pacing, yeah.
It all works together.
Like a well-oiled machine.
Exactly.
I loved those moments of silence.
Oh, yeah.
Like right before a jump scare.
That's effective.
Yeah, it just builds the tension.
It's like negative space.
Right.
You let the imagination fill in the blanks.
And that's scarier sometimes.
Way scarier.
Right.
Yeah.
And the visuals were great, too.
Oh, yeah.
That dimly lit station. The shadowy figures.
The woman's smile.
The woman's smile. Oh, yeah.
That's creepy.
It was all just so unsettling.
They knew what they were doing.
They did.
They played on those classic images.
Yeah.
But added their own twist.
Right. It was like familiar, but also new.
Fresh. Yeah.
So it's entertaining.
It is.
But it also makes you think.
It makes you think, yeah.
It's not just a cheap thrill.
No, it's a good story.
It's a good story, yeah.
It's a story that stays with you.
Right, and that's what makes a good horror.
That's what makes a good period.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it transcends genre.
It's more than just horror.
It's about human nature.
It's about us.
It's about storytelling itself.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners?
Well, I think it's all about the layers.
Okay.
On the surface, it's a scary story.
Right.
But underneath, it's about our fears, our weaknesses.
It's about the choices we make.
Exactly.
Like, it's a reminder to be careful.
Be vigilant.
Trust your gut.
Trust your gut, yeah.
And don't underestimate the power of a good story.
Right. A good story can teach us a lot.
It can teach us about ourselves.
About the world.
About the world, yeah.
About everything.
So next time you're at a remote train station, late at night, remember Anish.
Remember Anish.
Remember Begunkodar. Listen to your instincts.
Be careful.
And maybe watch out for any eerie music.
Oh, yeah.
Coming from a malfunction in the phone.
That's bad news.
That's bad news, yeah.
All right, I'll keep that in mind.
So that's our deep dive.
Wow.
Into the Begunkodar railway station.
Intense.
We hope you enjoyed it.
I did.
And we'll see you next time.
Sounds good.
It's amazing how these folklore stories,
oh, yeah,
they stick with you.
They do.
It's more than just spoopy tales, right?
Right. It's like they serve a purpose.
Like what? What kind of purpose?
Well, they're like a compass.
Okay.
A cultural compass.
Yeah.
You know, they transmit warnings and values,
okay,
beliefs across generations.
So it's like a message from our ancestors
Right.
being like, hey, watch out for this.
Watch out for this.
Exactly.
So in the Begunkodar story,
yeah,
what are they warning us about?
Well, isolation, for one.
Right.
Deception. And not ignoring those warnings.
Even if they seem a little superstitious.
Even if they seem a little out there. Yeah.
It makes you wonder
Yeah.
if modern horror stories are doing the same thing.
Oh, interesting.
Like the video we've been talking about?
Right.
Is it like a modern day warning?
I think so. You know, it's like the format's changed,
Right.
but the function's the same.
So it's like the campfire story
Yeah.
of the digital age.
Exactly.
Still trying to teach us something.
Still trying to warn us about something.
But also, they're entertaining.
Of course.
They're fun.
Like, we get to
Various those fears.
safely.
They free.
We're not actually in danger.
Right. It's a safe space.
But we get to feel that thrill.
To explore the dark side a little bit.
Yeah, it's like a dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
For real life challenges.
You got it.
So what's the final word on Begunkodar?
Well,
is it just a spooky story?
I think it's more than that.
Okay.
It's a really well-made story.
Right.
It's scary. It's thrilling.
Yeah.
But it also makes you think.
It's got those layers.
It's got those layers.
Exactly.
It's about human nature.
Right.
Belief.
The choices we make.
The choices we make.
It's deep.
It is deep.
Yeah.
But even in those dark stories,
yeah,
there's always something to learn.
Always.
Right.
Absolutely.
Like a little nugget of wisdom.
A little takeaway.
So next time you're at a train station.
Oh, boy.
Late at night.
Here we go again.
Remember Anish.
Remember Anish.
Remember Begunkodar.
Yeah.
Trust your gut. And listen for that eerie music.
Oh, yeah. The phone.
Coming from the phone.
That's bad.
That's bad news.
Stay away.
Stay away.
Yeah. So that wraps up our deep dive.
Another good one.
Into the Begunkodar railway station.
Loved it.
We hope you enjoyed it.
I did.
And we'll see you next time.
See you then.